Broadcasting live from the palatial studios of KOKC in Oklahoma City, it's McRoof Talks Insurance. I'm Rick Allen Lippert, here with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum.
Hey, Mr. Rick.
Also here, relaxing in the overstuffed recliner, is the next generation HAAG-certified roof inspector Scotty McCollum.
Yes. Hi, Rick. This recliner that you allude to, I think you might need a replacement for me soon.
Well, let's go on down to Mathis Brothers and find one.
With his checkbook, not mine.
Multi-talented Eric Yandel is the wizard on the other side of the glass.
I love that. I love that.
He will answer your call to 405-478-1520. And we are live streaming the show on the McRoof Talks Insurance YouTube channel. Hey, guys, wave at the folks at home.
Hey.
You'll be amazed at the opulence of the palatial Talk Suite studio. Act one of the show will start with our trivia question and other interesting tidbits while we wait for your call. That number again, 405-478-1520. In Act 2 of the show, we'll have more of your calls and Scotty's view from the rooftop. Scotty, what's your title this week?
Well, Rick, it's Trust but Verify.
In the words of Ronald Reagan. Then in Act 3, we'll have our After the Storm tip brought to you by Roof RX, and we'll wrap up with some very wise words from Scott's dad brought to you by Energy Q. And coming back from breaks, we'll have some obscure historical trivia, and I can tell you today,
Very obscure.
a double dose of Beatles today.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say this, the lawyer says I have to tell you that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. Yeah. So, there we go.
There we go.
Gentlemen, let's get started with our trivia question, shall we?
Okay, let's do it. So here's our question. What is the difference between a Class 3 and a Class 4 roof covering material? Is that the way you want it? That's the way I'm getting heads nodding. That's
okay.
The way we want it, okay?
All right, if you think you know what the difference is, and we're just looking for a simple difference, not a textbook definition, a simple difference between Class 3 and Class 4 roof covering material, think shingles.
There you go.
Give us a call at 405-478-1520. The winner will receive 2 free tickets to any Carpenter Square Theater production the rest of this season, which there are 3 shows left, but through July.
I will say it's not just asphalt shingles that are rated like this.
Okay.
Other roofing materials are rated that way as well.
That's why we phrased
It could be
question
cap sheets like we use on our flat roofs.
Okay.
It could be tile. It could be metal. It could be any other kind of thing that might go on the roof.
Okay. All right. Well,
classes.
but shingles, like you said, Rick, is a good example.
Yeah.
That a lot of people would be more familiar with.
Absolutely.
So if you think you know the difference between Class 3 and Class 4 roof covering material, 405-478-1520.
And those that have listened to you and I for years, they probably know.
They should know that.
They know what Class 4 refers to.
So we have a word of the week. Scotty, what is that word of the week?
Our word of the week today is supplementation.
What on earth does that mean?
Is it time for me to say?
Yeah.
Oh, well, supplementation just refers to the process.
Oh, my gosh. Do we have 30 minutes for this?
All right. Supplementation.
Supplementation just refers to the process that we embark on a quest with the insurance companies to reconcile any discrepancies in our scope of work and their adjusters' scope of work.
So it's
to make it very simple.
The supplement is items that could have been overlooked, items that might have been missed, items that could be mispriced, grades or qualitative adjustments that need to be made. A lot of times we'll get a shingle that an adjuster writes a claim summary and it's a standard architectural shingle, when in fact that shingle is a luxury shingle or an impact resistant shingle. There's lots of different things that go into that. And then there is the whole realm of things that cannot be seen. When an adjuster comes out to your house or your business, he doesn't do anything destructive. In other words, he doesn't take anything apart to understand what's underneath it, okay? So we, in the process of our supplementation, getting our proper scope and proper pricing for the client, for the insurance company, we have to dissect things.
Sure.
So we may determine that there are multiple layers of underlayment. We may determine that there is a synthetic underlayment underneath the roof covering. We may determine that the decking needs to be replaced. An item that comes up all the time is when we tear a roof off, we find out that there's ice and water in the valleys or around maybe some of the penetrations. There may be metal in valleys that was hidden underneath the shingles. These are things that require supplementation. In other words, we're going to send in a supplemental request to the insurance company.
Okay, got it.
With photo documentation and Xactimate or Symbility pricing on those items, asking the insurance company to add those to the scope of work, to the payment schedule, and to the claim summary.
So this is stuff that, like you said, no one can see from just looking at the roof. This is stuff, for the most part,
To
that's
clarify,
one
there are
aspect.
It's one.
There
Okay.
are two fairly distinct categories of supplementation.
Okay.
The first are things that can easily be seen and identified on the front end just by the naked eye, doing a quick inspection both on the rooftop and around the property. But then the other one is those things that we may discover in the process of destructively removing that roof material.
I like to think of it as exploratory surgery.
There you go. Exploratory surgery. But yeah, Scotty's right. There's two aspects to it. One is going to be and sometimes that's why there are multiple supplements on a job.
Right. Okay, got it.
Multiple supplements
Understood.
on a claim is because initially Scotty is very, very good at, very thorough and detailed. He says a quick inspection is really not a quick inspection, but he's very detailed about the items that belong in that scope of work, okay? And so his first review is to go through, do they have everything that belongs in the scope of work, okay? Then have they properly priced all of that? Do they have proper quantities? Have they measured it correctly, okay? So that part of it is on the front end where we work to get that correct. On the front end, we also put in the items that we know are going to be those, we talk about it all the time, the ordinance or law,
Right.
the code
Understood,
coverage,
yeah,
the building
yeah.
code things that we know are going to be required. We try to get those in at least as line items. What the insurance companies typically will do is they'll include the decking, the ice and water, the drip edge, the ventilation, some of those kinds of things. They'll include those in a new claim summary, but they'll line through them, okay? In other words, they're acknowledging that those things may exist, but they're not going to pay for them on the front end, okay?
Okay.
And they're not going to increase the claim amount on the front end. They're going to zero those back out. And then we're going to have to show them during the process of performing the restoration work that we, first of all, those things actually were required, code documentation, and that in fact we did and installed all of those products. Then our client will receive a payment for those things. Okay. So that's part of supplementation as well. But there's the part of it that we have to do after the fact. That's when we've done the roof or we're in the process of doing the roof. We discover that decking needs to be replaced, and we didn't know that for some reason. Then we immediately on the rooftop are taking photographs. Wanda's on the phone. She's talking about a supplement with the insurance company, and we're getting them to say, yes, we understand, and we'll take care of that when you provide us the proper documentation. So
How difficult is it getting the approval for supplementation?
Well, I'll just put it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, if 15 years ago, when I first met you, Rick, would have been a 1. In other words, it was not very difficult to document, photograph, estimate, and get paid for. Today has become a 9 or a 10.
Oh, my goodness.
It is extremely difficult to get to the point where you have what you would consider a claim written in such a way that that client, that insured, is going to be indemnified fully for their loss, restored to their pre-loss condition. It is very difficult.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Hey, we still have a trivia question hanging out there. What is the difference between a Class 3 and a Class 4 roof covering material? It could be shingles, could be roll-on stuff, it could be metal, it could be anything they put up there.
So I got a wager for you guys. Is it going to be Ben or is it going to be Jerry? Okay. my money's on Ben.
So if you think you know the
Okay.
difference between Class 3 and Class 4 roof covering material, give us a call, 405-478-1520. 405-478-1520. Hey, did you guys know that it is both National Banana Cream Pie Day and National Old Stuff Day? That's for Scott and me.
gosh.
We're old stuff.
Old stuff. Yeah, we're old stuff. All right. Oh,
No,
man.
I had no idea.
I don't know what it means to have National Old Stuff Day.
Well, I'm going to have to, Scotty, you're going to have to tell your mama about this because her daddy's favorite pie. Okay.
Banana cream?
Yeah.
I like it too.
So, anyway, you did? What were those moon pies?
Moon pie, yeah.
Do you even know what a
Whoopie
moon
pies,
you know what a
moon
moon
pies?
pie is?
Oh,
I mean, I've
hey,
seen
I-
them. They still make them,
okay.
actually.
Oh, they do. I grew up. I lived in Atlanta for many years, and boy, it was a treat to have that moon pie and the RC Coca-Cola.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, man.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Producer, for your contribution.
I try.
I know you do.
405-478-1520. What is the difference between a Class 3 and a Class 4 roof covering material?
And when Scotty gets to his story, he's going to tell you guys a little bit more about this particular aspect of a roof covering.
Ooh, so
Yeah,
we
so
really
we're
need
gonna-
someone to call
yeah,
in.
That was a
and
good clue.
Yeah, we're gonna
Very
we're
good
gonna
clue.
we're gonna tie them together.
Okay.
We're gonna tie them together.
I like
Yep.
it when that
Yep.
happens.
So anyway, well, what's going on in your world?
Getting ready for Carpenter Square Theater's annual, I say annual, first time we've done it in a couple, 3 years, fundraiser. It's called the Best in 10 Festival, 10-minute plays done in a reader's theater presentation format, actors on stools with music stands, reading the scripts, but acting them out. And I have a play in it this year called Covituary, set in the early days of the lockdown.
Say that again.
Covituary.
COVID or COVID?
Covituary.
Covituary.
And
Oh, wow.
it's a guy who is his son and daughter-in-law are forcing him to stay home
Okay.
because of the lockdown.
Uh-huh.
And this was before. This was set before vaccines came out, and everyone was being really careful. And so he is writing his obituary because he just knows that
That COVID's going to get him.
yeah,
Oh,
sooner or
my
later, and
gosh.
he wants to have the last word.
Oh my.
I see.
And it's quite funny.
That's
It's also a little salty because
Sounds like
he
it could
is
be so.
unhappy.
indeed.
He has to stay home. Anyway, that's March 23rd. And then after that, in April, we open a play called Fireflies, which is a delightful, charming, romantic comedy set in a small South Texas town. An 80-year-old woman, retired school teacher who taught everyone in town for 40 years, most respected woman in town, lives by herself, never married, and then a drifter comes into town to fix the roof.
Oh, really? Imagine that.
And it's a romantic
Imagine that.
comedy.
Well, I
Oh,
sure
that's
am glad
funny.
that McRoof is a sponsor for the theater because if you're going to be having the drifters coming into town, we'll probably have a few drifters coming into Oklahoma City before too long, too, Scotty.
Yeah, no
Maybe
kidding.
so.
Hey, Mike, I know you're hanging on the line there. It's time for us to take a break. So if you could please hang with us, we'll get back to you as soon as we come back from break. So let's go ahead and do that now, Eric. I'd like to remind everybody that you're listening to McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum. HAAG-certified roofing inspector Scotty McCollum. Eric Yandell on the other side of the glass. We will be right back with some historical trivia and a little bit of Beatles. And Mike will be taking your call.
Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army and was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy was the pilot of a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy. November 11, 1943, Homer and his crew, along with 31 other bombers, flew a mission to destroy a ball bearing plant in occupied France. On the return trip, a mechanical failure caused the plane to drop out of formation, leaving the Yankee Doodle Dandy vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109 shot the plane down near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board. The others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 21 years of service with numerous awards and citations, not to mention the Purple Heart. Homer Stacy. Homer Stacy McCollum. Scott McCollum's dad. Scott McCollum is McRoof. McRoof is owned and operated by the McCollum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to improve or repair your property, call 855-766-3405. Ask for a no-cost roof assessment and home inspection. That's McRoof, 855-766-3405. That's McRoof.
Hey folks, this is Scott. I want to talk to you a little bit about our inspection, repair, and maintenance company, Roof RX. Roof RX is there to make sure that you don't have any issues, that you've got everything taken care of before we get into storm season. Scotty's been sitting here. He's been on a lot of rooftops here in the last few weeks while we've been off the air. People have been calling in to get that springtime inspection or pre-springtime inspection done. And mixed bag of results. He's been on a bunch of roofs that need next to nothing. He's been on a bunch of roofs that need some fairly immediate repairs. And he's been on some roofs that absolutely need to be replaced. Remember, we talked about that clock is ticking on you filing an insurance claim on any storm that occurred last year. So if you think you might be in that situation, you're not really sure exactly what's going on your rooftop, give us a call. Roof RX, 855-766-3405, 855-766-3405. Get Scotty out there on your rooftop and let's find out for sure what's going on.
This is the home of talk radio's new generation, KOKC.
And McRoof Talks Insurance back on the air for Act 2 of today's show. On this date in 1776, American troops began shelling the British in Boston. Yay!
Wow.
And then several years later, in 1789, Pennsylvania ended the prohibition on theatrical performances.
I was thinking that had to be near and dear to your heart.
Well, that was why it made the cut today. Of all the things that that I can choose, I picked this because who knew there was a prohibition on that anyway?
I was
mean,
wondering
they didn't teach
why
us in
would there
school.
have been?
I would think it probably had something to do with Puritanism or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
And then on this date, in 1964, the Fab Four began filming A Hard Day's Night, and it was on, and they started shooting in Paddington Station in London, and on the first day of shooting, George Harrison met a young up-and-coming actress named Patty Boyd and married her 2 years later. Also on this date, Twist and Shout was released in the U.S. One of the few covers that the Beatles did.
You know, Scotty, Rick and I grew up in a day and age where every teenage boy and girl pretty much had a garage band.
Yeah.
You know, they had their parents were going nuts with the music and everything else. They had a garage band. They had their drums. They had their microphones, and they were all aspiring to be the Beatles.
We were going to be the Beatles. Oh my goodness! The same band, but the first name was the Seventh Wave.
Oh,
seventh way.
And then we needed something a little more catchy, so we became Three Below Polyform Band Incorporated,
Oh boy.
which
Boy,
That's
that's a
a
mouthful.
mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
it was much
Absolutely.
it was a better name than we were a band.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go to Mike on the phone.
I agree, Eric.
Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
Good. How are y'all?
Good, fantastic, sir. Thanks for being there.
So, Mike, we want you to tell us the difference between a Class 3 and a Class 4 roof covering material.
Well, my wife says that a Class 4 is impact resistant and more wind resistant and probably has a better warranty.
Wow.
I think we got a winner
I'm
there,
impressed.
Eric.
I think you need to hang on to that wife. She's pretty smart.
Mike, did your wife really give you the answer to that?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, God bless her.
It wasn't tall.
Yeah, so the Class 3 shingle, just so everybody understands, and Mike's he's given us the right answer. The Class 3 shingle is a shingle that in what we call the steel ball test. This is how Underwriters Laboratories tests asphalt shingles or roofing materials, okay? They drop the steel ball through a cylinder from 20 feet, and they drop it onto the same spot on a shingle mat or roofing material twice. And if that material does not fracture, then they consider that material to be Class 3 or Class 4 or Class 1 or Class 2 for that matter, impact resistant. So Class 3 resists that ball at a diameter of 1 3/4 inches falling twice. Class 4 resists that ball at 2-inch diameter falling twice. So it is resisting a larger impact, okay, and not showing any evidence of that fracture, that damage to that shingle. So that's what it's all about. Mike is exactly right. The Class 4 shingle is more impact resistant than the Class 3 shingle is. In some cases, Class 4 is a requirement for discounts from insurance companies. There are insurance companies that offer the discount at the Class 3 level, and apparently, Scotty, sounds like the Class 3, Class 4 discount is the same. So
It depends on the carrier.
yeah, you'd have to talk to your individual insurance company and specifically ask them. But I know for years that we've received requests from folks who had a Class 3 roof installed, and that's because they had an insurance carrier who was giving them a discount for that Class 3 shingle. Most carriers require that Class 4 shingle. So, okay.
Hey, Mike, if you would stay on the line just a little bit longer, let Eric get your email address. I will send you 2 free tickets to
And
Carpenter
his
Square
wife,
Theater.
yeah.
Yeah, so you have date night on me.
All right.
Hey, Mike, thanks for
for
listening.
calling,
We
Mike.
really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
sir.
day, sir.
Good day.
All right, that's cool.
All right.
That's
So
cool.
let's give Eric an opportunity to talk to Mike there, and before we go to the view from the roof,
Okay.
because Eric has to do something before we can open up
That's
open
okay.
up that
that's
door.
That's not a problem at all. So, we've been, we talked about there was a reason we knew we were going to be preempted by the women's basketball for 2 weeks. So we've been gone for 2 weeks.
Right.
The reason that we wanted to go ahead instead of waiting for basketball to be over to start the show, we wanted to take advantage of that first couple of weeks before we were preempted to get the message out to people about the timing, the perfect timing that exists right now to get your roof inspected. If you don't know what's going on your roof, you don't have any idea, you don't know if you have any damage or not, if your roof's over 5 years old, it needs to be looked at. Okay. And the fact that we've been on the air telling people that you have a ticking clock, that ticking clock we refer to is that period of time in every homeowner's insurance policy that gives you the condition, tells you how long you have to report a loss to the insurance
And
company.
that how long is that these days?
Typically 1 year. There are policies out there that still have a 2-year provision in them, but most carriers it's 1 year. So if our largest event in the metro last year was on April the 19th, correct, Scotty? 419?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So if we have a 419 event, then that means that we have a ticking clock down to that 419 date again
Correct.
this year. Now, We also know that historically we've had a lot of hail in late March. So it could be that people are going to have another hail event before that March 19th clock ticks out.
April 19th.
April 19th, I'm sorry.
But not something you can count on.
Yeah, not something you can count on. If you do have damage on your roof, you need to have someone that knows what they're looking at, not somebody who's trying to sell you a roof. That's what Scotty does. That's what makes the way that we approach the business. We're not coming out there to tell you that you need a new roof. We're coming out there to tell you what the conditions of your roof are and what might need to be done and what your options are.
So let's say someone doesn't know whether or not they had damage on April 19th of last year. Should they just call the insurance company and file a claim before calling you?
Not the way you would want to do that.
And
We
why
wouldn't-
and
we
why
wouldn't
not?
recommend that. Well, we've had a couple people do that, and
Yeah. Get a little closer.
sorry, this mic's been giving me some issues, as you know. You tried to help me fix it. We've had people do that over the years, Rick, and without our coming out first, got denied.
Ooh.
And we couldn't argue their case with the adjuster because we agreed with what they found. We
Yeah.
agreed that the adjuster said there's just not enough, or
Okay.
that there may be some spread out, but it's not present in the right concentrations to warrant a replacement.
We've had folks who had been advised by other contractors that they needed to file a claim.
Oh, true.
Typically where somebody's leaning a ladder up against a gutter, not even getting on the roof and getting down and saying, oh yeah, you need to file a claim. Now I will tell you that with our Oklahoma hailstorms, there are roofs that are just that simple to tell someone that. But there are an awful lot of people who unfortunately get led down that path. They start through the process and now they've got a claim, an open claim with their insurance company, and there's really not a battle to be fought. Now, we've got a couple of listeners to the radio who have called us in the last week or two who unfortunately are kind of in the middle of a claim situation where the insurance company did not do what we think should be done. Okay. So we have to do that supplement. We have to write that supplement. We have to do the documentation. We have to start fighting the battle. And we'll talk a little bit specifically about kind of how, what's been going on in our world the last couple of weeks with some of the insurance companies.
Well, let's get a view from the rooftop.
We were walking in the Alabama rain.
All right, Rick. Well, as we mentioned before, the title for this week's segment is Trust But Verify. And we actually had quite a good segue with our recent conversation into what I'm about to talk about.
Okay.
And I'll just use one very recent example, and this has happened many times over the years. But we actually have a listener who called us out 2 weeks ago, about a week. I'd say 2 weeks ago. I inspected it about a week and a half ago. And they're in Yukon, had not filed a claim yet, but a few days prior to them calling us, I guess one of the neighbors is a roofing contractor. So he had some of his guys that didn't have enough to do that day, and they were just browsing the neighborhood, seeing if anybody looked like they had an older roof. So they stopped by, asked if they could do a free inspection, complimentary inspection. The owner's wife said, of course. So they got up. I don't know how much time they spent on the roof, but they did get down, come to the door, and advise her that, yes, there's tons of damage. Your roof is smoked.
Roof is smoked.
However,
What have you been smoking?
well, once I conducted my inspection, just a short time later, I do agree that there was a little bit of light damage on the guttering, the downspouts, window screens, roof vents, soft metal surfaces
Accessories.
on the
Right.
roof.
Accessories.
But I could not find a lick of hail damage on the primary materials, which we usually say are the roof shingles in the field of the roof and the hip and ridge accessories. So I told her, sorry, but you just don't have enough, and please be vigilant for any storms that come this way. But right now you've got a 15-year-old roof that's in great shape.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this. So a couple things. One, you just had a roofing contractor, McRoof.us, who sent a certified HAAG inspector to get on your roof. And that HAAG inspector, not motivated by dollars in his pocketbook, did the right thing by the client and gave them an honest evaluation of what their situation is on their roof. That's why we want people to call when we talk about a qualified inspection. That's what a qualified inspection is. 90% of roofing contractors telling people they need a new roof. Part of that is accurate, but part of it is motivated simply by the numbers game, that the more people we tell they need a roof, the more claims that get filed, the more adjusters we meet, the more contracts we ultimately end up with. That is not the motivation.
And let me jump in right there.
Okay.
We do look at it in the way of money, value of contracts, etc., but it's a long-term view,
Yeah.
Rick.
Right.
We want to invest in that relationship, and those people, they may never be a contract for us, but
Yeah.
I sure bet if there's
probably
anybody
will.
they know that needs a roof,
Exactly.
Yeah.
we'll be
It's
getting their referrals.
it's all relationship based. It's not transactional. But the other thing I wanted to hit on, and I wanted to plug my good friend Trevor and Certainteed, the shingle that was on the roof that Scotty inspected.
Oh, yes.
15-year-old landmark impact resistant shingle.
I was wondering.
And if you remember, for years my go-to shingle was Landmark IR. And a lot of roofing contractors in Oklahoma thought I was foolish for insisting that my clients look that direction and kind of trying to force them that way. Well, this is the reason why. We know how that shingle performed forever, okay? Now, I will tell you that we changed to the Northgate technology, which is the modified asphalt polymer, the SBS technology, in 2018, okay? And we moved away from the Landmark IR because all the testing data showed that the SBS shingle, the modified asphalt polymer, in the class 4 would outperform the old technology by 30-40%.
Which was fiberglass
so
based.
yeah, that was a fiberglass scrim. This is a modified asphalt polymer.
Okay.
So, with our values as a company, I can't know that something out there is better and not try to show that to my clients. So we moved away from Landmark IR to Northgate to the SBS. They now have a different Climate Flex technology, and that's where we are now. And as indestructible almost as Landmark IR, the old scrim technology, still remains, obviously in Scotty's case, still remains to be today. The Northgate is where we go. The modified asphalt is where we go. We want to show that to people because, even though it costs more money up front and you are going to receive an insurance discount in most cases, that's not the big deal. The big deal is that you are not going to incur another deductible and you are not going to be going through that process all over again while your friends and neighbors are having to.
Exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So,
and
anyway.
that's where you have to weigh cost versus value.
Right, and that's also the relationship, investing in doing what the right thing is for our client and the solutions. When we sell someone an upgrade to that class 4 impact resistant shingle as an example, that sale is at our cost, okay? We do not increase our bottom line, we increase the gross dollars, but we do not increase the bottom line of McRoof 1 penny in that transaction, because I believe in doing what's right for the clients. I believe in building and cementing that relationship. I believe in having them be able to tell their friends and neighbors who did such a good job for them. And, for us to put a few more dollars, if we're asking you to spend $1,500, $2,500 more to upgrade your roof on top of your deductible and any other little things that come in, I don't want to add margin dollars into that equation.
Exactly.
It's just not,
Yeah.
For us, it's not the way we do business.
And with that, we'll take our break. Be back with Act 3 of today's show. I'd like to remind you, this is a live call-in show. You can call Scotty McCollum, ask your roofing questions, find us at 405-478-1520, 405-478-1520. And a reminder, we are live streaming on our YouTube channel, McRoof Talks Insurance. We'll be right back.
Honoring America's Warriors is an Oklahoma-based 501c3 nonprofit that is committed to honoring our heroes and healing our warriors. Honoring America's Warriors provides teams of disabled combat veterans in service dress uniform to augment military honors for our brave that have served our country. Honoring America's Warriors also provides outdoor activities to get our returning veterans peer-to-peer with other veterans in a non-medical environment. To learn more or to donate, go to honoringamericaswarriors.org today.
Spring is springing and summer will soon follow, along with that hot attic and that high air conditioning bill. McRoof.us and Energy Q have a cool solution for you. Our double foil radiant barrier film can be installed right on top of your roof deck when we replace your roof. The thermal break is built into this product that comes to us straight out of the NASA space program. Not replacing your roof right now? Well, that's okay. We can install a radiant barrier as a drape off of your rafters or as a blanket across your attic floor. Call us today for an estimate and start enjoying the increased comfort of your home or office and that reduced cooling bill. McRoof.us and Energy Q, a cool solution for you this summer. 855-766-3405.
Talk Radio's new generation. KOKC.
McRoof Talks Insurance, back on the air for Act 3 of today's show. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum, HAAG-certified roofing inspector Scotty McCollum, and we're taking your calls to 405-478-1520. And you can call us not just about roofing, you can ask about contracting, general contracting. More about that in a minute. On this date, in 1925, the U.S. shield marker and highway road numbering system was introduced. How about that?
Wow.
Route 66.
There you go.
You know, that's
Mother Road.
this was before interstates, way before interstates, but just, you know, U.S. Highway 1 up and down the California coast.
Yep.
A1A in Florida. On this date in 1933, King Kong was premiered at Radio
Fay
City
Ray.
Music Hall. Yeah, Fay Ray. Oh. Ooh. And then on this date in 1967, at the 9th Grammy Awards, this song won Best Song. And there used to be words to it. I'm not sure where the words went. Maybe that's on the other channel.
That's funny.
Possibly so, Rick.
Are you not hearing it?
I'm not hearing, we're not hearing words on our
We
end.
got music, though.
It's just the
I
instrumental.
love the music.
Beautiful music on
Yeah, we're good.
1520.
We're good. There you go.
All
There
right.
you go.
Okay,
There's
so
the producer thinking on his feet.
general contracting. Now, Scott, how did you get up on that roof?
Oh, you know, I just thought that, you know, we might take just a minute and kind of digress a little bit for those who may be new listeners.
Of course.
Kind of wondering, you know, McRoof Talks Insurance. What the heck does, you know, what
makes him
What makes
qualified?
him qualified? Well, so let's go way back. And I started my.
It is National Old Stuff Day.
National Old Stuff Day, so this is pretty old stuff. I started my professional career in the property and casualty insurance business, and I did that for a number of years and kind of worked my way through. Then I had always wanted to be a home builder, so I started building houses, and from that we kind of progressed into general contracting and. Along the way, I got into doing some burnouts and some things, you know, that were insurance restoration type work before I even knew what insurance restoration work was, you know. So I've been doing this for a while. We started the roofing company back in the early 2000s. And, of course, with that came an indoctrination into the whole idea of storm restoration, insurance restoration. And so we've learned an awful lot over the last 15 or 20 years, specifically that can benefit our clientele in the area of insurance restoration, whether that's commercial or residential. We feel like that we've built a team of people who are highly competent from the standpoint of the inspections and the investigations and the estimation and everything that's involved on the front end of an insurance claim. Feel like that we've got a process in terms of back office and people there to support everything that has to be done with both insurance companies and mortgage companies during the insurance restoration process, and that we're capable of delivering a quality, professionally executed construction project of pretty much any scale. So that's kind of where we're at. I at times have been a licensed insurance adjuster. I serve as an umpire on any number of cases every year where the parties to an insurance restoration claim cannot come to an agreement as to what the dollar value of that really should be. An insured would then invoke what's called arbitration or appraisal.
Right.
And in that appraisal process, there's an appraiser for the insurance company, there's an appraiser for the insured. Okay?
Yeah.
Those two agree to, quote unquote, an umpire. And if those two can't reconcile their differences and come to an agreement, then the umpire is brought into the process. I have to take all of the input from both parties. Sometimes the work has already been done. There's nothing for me to go out and look at. It's really at my desk resolving the differences in the numbers. Sometimes the work has not been done, and I have to physically go out into the field and do an evaluation, try to determine exactly where that should be, and then render a decision as to what I see as the replacement cost value of that loss.
So when you get to make that decision, do you get to wear a black robe and bang a gavel?
No, but it
Sounds fun, Rick.
effectively, that's kind of what it. I've actually had somebody wearing a black robe and banging a gavel name me as the umpire where the two appraisers couldn't agree as an umpire.
Oh my!
So, first time I'd ever had that happen,
Wow.
where I actually was
Yeah.
declared by the judge to be the umpire on a case. Had that happen last year, but no, the umpire prepares what's called an award. Okay, and this is my best. This is my best effort at accurately establishing the value of that claim. That is sent out to both of the appraisers, the appraiser for the insurance company and the appraiser for the insured. When either of those two parties has signed my award, there now are two signatures on there. That's it. Party's over.
Okay.
It does not require the agreement of all three parties. Okay. When the umpire and one of the appraisers signs that award, then that is then published to the insurance company, and that's what the insurance company is supposed to honor. Doesn't always work that way, but that's the way it's supposed to work. So anyway, so just wanted to give folks a few minutes to kind of understand the depth and breadth of where I've been, what I've done, and why we feel like we can sit here and talk insurance.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, now let's do the storm tip. We'll call this before the storm because we're coming up on spring storms.
Yeah, let's call this one before the storm. And once again, folks, the only real advice that I can give you right now, the advice that a lot of the listeners have already followed in the last few weeks. Our phones have really lit up in
Great.
the last couple of weeks with folks calling in for inspections. And you're going to get a qualified inspection from people who know what they're looking at. It's not just Scotty. I mean, if we send somebody else out there to your job, they're going to be trained and qualified to assess what's really going on. You're going to know exactly what your situation is. If you need to have some minor repairs done before storm season, you've got some flashings, you have a leaking pipe boot, you have a chimney issue, something like that, you have a few blown shingles. Believe me, I've seen a lot of blown shingles when I drive by and look at roofs lately.
Well, that wind has been pretty
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
But we know it's going to get higher. So,
Yeah.
but we can take care of all those things before storm season, so you don't have any water intrusion into your house. If your roof's in really great shape, maybe it needs a little bit of ventilation tweaked. You need some more ventilation. Maybe you need a maintenance plan. You need to get all of that debris and organic material off the roof. My tip to you is now's the time to call before storm season. Let's figure out exactly where your roof is, evaluate it honestly for you, and see what a solution for you would be. So call McRoof.
That's good advice.
And that was brought to you by McRoof, the prescription. Oh, I'm sorry, Roof RX. This is the McRoof Show. It's been a while since I've done this. That was brought to you by Roof RX. I'll say it right. The prescription for your ailing roof.
There you go.
Thank you. Hey,
Roof
folks,
RX.
last call for your call. These guys are sitting here waiting for you to call with a question about insurance restoration, anything about anything about repairing your home.
Call and ask Rick about the Beatles
Yeah. Hey, what do you want to know?
or about theater.
Yeah. 405-478-1520.
What is that? What is he doing?
Your
over
clue
there?
to call.
Ah.
Your signal to call.
Oh,
There you
Four-
go.
signal to call.
405-478-1520.
that's
We have
funny.
about 9 minutes of the show left.
Oh, that's
Gentlemen,
funny.
what have you say you've been getting a lot of calls, and Scotty, you've been on a lot of roofs. What types of roofs have you been looking at?
Well, I have to say for the majority, it's just a standard grade shingle roof. Something that maybe is 5 to 10 years old that people don't know what the condition is. Usually people don't have leaks. They just want to know what the condition is. Probably have had a few smaller hailstorms pass through over the last few years, and nothing suspicious, nothing obvious to them that is concerning. But that's why they called, because they want to know, they want that peace of mind.
Of course.
Which is what we're here for.
Yeah.
But he's been on some big roofs too, and one of the things that you asked a little bit earlier, Rick, you asked about, okay, you think you've had a few hailstorms, you might have a little bit of damage. Should you call your insurance company? And we gave you our reasons why we didn't really think that was the best approach to take. I will tell you that Scotty's been on some big roofs where we as a company, McRoof, Scotty's inspection report, whatever, were highly questioned by the insurance agents
Or
involved.
agent or broker.
Okay.
And not to say that they're discouraging their client from filing a claim that should rightfully be filed, but I'm just telling you, and the easiest way I can say this is the folks sitting on the other end of the phone have not been on your roof. They do not know the condition of your roof. If this young man or any of my other
Matt or
people
Dustin.
have been on your roof and can show you the photographs of your roof, not just a roof that looks like yours, of your roof.
I'm sure there's a story behind that.
There
They
is,
can
Rick. We'll get to that.
They can explain to you what's going on your roof, and they suggest to you that you need to file an insurance claim. They're not telling you that to line their pocket. They're telling you that because they truly believe that that is the right thing for you. You've paid your insurance premiums for all these years, and now it's time for you to recoup some of that money from your insurance company. They wouldn't tell you that if they didn't know, because believe me, they know they're going to have to get on that roof with that adjuster, and they're going to have to justify every single thing that they have told you, and they're going to have to if they've written you an estimate, what we call an insurance estimate, they're going to have to justify to you and the adjuster every single item that they have on that document. Okay?
And then
So-
it's up to the adjuster to look at the obvious hail damage and say, I don't see a problem.
Well, and I'll be honest with you. I alluded to a client that we have who called, she's a longtime listener to the show, and she called us a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And we have a situation on her claim where the insurance company is paying for the accessories, like Scotty talked about, the gutters, the metal components on the roof, things like that. But they're refusing to pay for the damage on the shingled roof. Okay, and I'm reviewing the claim summary. I'm looking at Scotty's pictures and everything that's going on, and it's obvious hail damage. And the claim summary that they wrote that pays for the gutters and the roof and the accessories, and a few shingles that are required to be able to do those repairs. Okay, it clearly says cause of loss is hail, and it clearly has a loss date. Okay, and yet they're going to say that the gutters and the metals and things, they're going to pay for those, but they're not going to pay for the roof. And guess how much the money that they're going to pay for the gutters and the metals and everything comes up to?
Just about their deductible.
Just about their deductible. Now, I'm not going to say that it's a game, but I'm going to tell you that as a consumer, whether you have a residence or a business or rental property or anything else, you need to have somebody that knows how this game is played, who can do it the right way. Everything that we do, from our inspection to writing our estimates, is dictated by the value of integrity. Okay, we know that we're going to have to, and I will say this, it doesn't matter how long I've been writing claims and being involved in this, I can say to this day, I have never once asked an insurance company to pay for something that they should not pay for.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line.
And that generally works to our customers' benefit, of course.
Yeah, I understand that. My experience has been, if I just when I have just called an insurance company to ask a question, it generates a claim. And next thing I know, I'm getting either a claim, usually a claim denial, and I would have to call my agent and say, I just asked a question, and now there's a claim number because I called to ask a question. And I find that,
That doesn't make sense.
yeah, it didn't make sense to me either. And they said, okay, well, you want to withhold your claim or cancel your claim?
Yeah,
Which then puts me on so if I did have actual damage, I've waived that claim now.
Well, I
Jeez,
don't know that I don't know that you wouldn't have been able to have gone back and made that case. But I'll just say this: when claims start off fouled up, they generally end up someplace that is not exactly where we would like for it to have ended up.
Okay.
No, in spite of our best efforts. In spite of our best efforts. That's why we always, always, always want to be there when the adjuster comes. Okay? Because we want to make sure, because what we do is when Scotty walks around a property and they've identified, say, 20 items between siding and paint and garage doors and gutters and accessories and fences and this, that, and the other. Well, when he gets done, we get that claim summary, he's checking off. Did they actually put all of these things that we pointed out to them and talked about and that they agreed to include in this claim?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
We're rapidly running out of time, and I just got a text from the lawyer reminding me to tell you all out there that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. All right, Dad's Wisdom, brought to you by Energy Q.
Do it right, or do it twice, or thrice.
This has been episode number 4 of McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. I want to thank restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum, HAAG-certified roofing inspector Scotty McCollum, producer extraordinaire, what's your name, Eric Yandel,
I don't think we need to thank
I
him.
love you too. Thanks.
We will be back next week with another edition of McRoof Talks Insurance.
Have a great week.
KOKC, Oklahoma City,
The Tyler Media Station, entertaining you since 1965.
95.3 FM and 1520 AM.